Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel where we discuss eczema and dealing with eczema throughout your daily life. My name's Christine. If you haven't seen my first episode, I recommend you go back and watch that. It just gives a little quick about me and my history with eczema and growing up with it. You know, Valentine's Day is around the corner, and I just thought that it would be great to do a quick little episode on dating with eczema and just some advice that I have, you know, when you're out there trying to meet people. Off the bat, when you're growing up, you already know the concept of your parents sharing a bed. And when I was younger, I always felt like that wouldn't happen for me. And that was because my skin was so dry. And, you know, when you wake up and you have dry skin in your bed, it's uncomfortable. And for someone else to see that and to share a bed with me, I just couldn't imagine that concept happening. Around this time, I was 4 or 5, so I didn't know what I had, and I just assumed that my whole life would be like that and it wasn't manageable. So I, from the get-go, felt, you know, distraught about that, which is sad because you shouldn't feel that way at such a young age. Also, when I was younger, around the same time, my mom was telling me that I wasn't pretty, I wasn't beautiful because of the way my skin looked, and she called it dirty. Again, she didn't know what eczema was, so I don't really put blame on her, but it really did skew my perception of what beauty was and what being attractive looked like, and all of that was based off of my skin. You know, middle school, you're younger, like dating's not as serious, like that was fine. High school, you know, didn't really have too many problems. I did have one boyfriend who I told that I had eczema, and he would just try to stop me from scratching. It wasn't anything crazy. He didn't ask too many questions. Also, around that time, I didn't have a bad flare-up, so visually, I didn't look too jarring. It wasn't until I got into my current serious relationship where I started dealing with those kinds of issues. That's when I started dating and figuring out, you know, how people interact with my eczema. My husband right now isn't who I got those experiences from. It was after 6 years of dating, we took a year-long break, and that's when I got introduced to like real life dating. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, I've known him since I was 3 years old, so we've grown up together. We've, you know, never had to introduce anything new. So eczema was just a part of my life. And he's in the medical field, so he knows what it is. He understands what it is. When he sees it, he gets it. So nothing crazy there. But when I started dating, it was a whole new thing that I had to deal with and had to be aware of. And dating in general sucks. Dating in New York sucks even more. And then having that added pressure of eczema on that, it was a lot. So there's 2 instances that come to mind for me whenever I think about what I went through with dating in my mid-20s and having terrible flare-ups around that time because I had stopped going to the dermatologist, like trying to be steroid free. I didn't want my skin to get used to steroids, but my skin was going through it. It was rough, tough, and fucking shedding everywhere, which obviously isn't the best when you're trying to date people. So the first of the 2 instances was this one guy that I was seeing. And, you know, when you become an adult, you have adult sleepovers. One day, you know, after getting to know each other for about a month and a half or so, I was just trying to be playful, and I was like, oh my God, you know, you kick so much when you're sleeping. It's so like silly, but sometimes you kick me or whatever. Just being dead ass playful as fuck, like really, like I'm trying to flirt here. Like I'm not trying to bring up some issues that you have. Then all of a sudden he was just like, yeah, well, you scratch a lot. And I was just like, oh shit, okay, that hurts, you know. Because scratching is really personal. Obviously, when you're scratching in public, it feels like kind of awkward. I mean, now I have no shame because I'm like, fuck you, I'm itchy. But at that time, I was really insecure, especially just getting to know someone and trying to be vulnerable and at the same time trying to get them to like you. When he said that, I was like, okay, like he must think I'm gross. Because of course, like just randomly scratching all the time looks strange to someone who doesn't have eczema. And I'm sure some of you out there are like, why didn't you just tell me I have eczema? But again, that has been like deep rooted into my like mind about being rejected and not looking good and just being an outcast. So that's why it was really hard for me to talk about having eczema with strangers that I was trying to, one, be intimate with, two, get to like me, and three, just find me attractive in general. The other instance that came to mind when thinking about dating was this other person that I was seeing who, the first time I went over to his apartment, I saw that his bed had black sheets. That immediately gave me anxiety because obviously when you have eczema, your skin's so dry, you're constantly waking up with dry skin in your bed. And I was like, shit, when he sees like the dry skin, he's gonna, freak out and be like, what the hell? Like, this girl has a lot of dandruff. Because it wasn't just coming from my scalp, obviously it's my whole body. But you know how girls in like movies or your friends, what have you, they like show them like or talk about waking up like before the guy does and then going to the bathroom and like putting on a bunch of makeup to try to make themselves like look good when the guy wakes up. I was kind of doing that, but instead of makeup, I was waking up and brushing my dead skin off of his bed. It sounds so nasty. It sounds so nasty when I think about it, but it's also like just a part of our life, And I didn't want him, again, to think that I was like disgusting because this guy was kind of harsh. But, at the time I liked him and I wanted him to like me back. So I just would brush his skin off of my bed when I woke up before he did. If he woke up before me, or if we woke up at the same time, rather, I would just do like general like yawning motions or like moving to try to like move my dead skin off his bed, or I would like take the sheets and like adjust them a lot to create like a lot of wind, just so it didn't seem like I was really brushing, dandruff or whatever off of his bed. I'm sure he would have told me to just use Head and Shoulders, but that does not work for me, sorry. So those were two situations that really stuck with me whenever I think about what I went through when dating, besides just personalities clashing and, being ghosted or whatever, people being crazy or just not liking them, whatever. Those were two things that really stuck out to me because it had to do with my eczema, and it was tough, and it just shows the impact that eczema has on your life, especially with dating, that other people don't have to worry about. So, advice that I would give for people, who are going out and have eczema, I would definitely suggest bringing your own little personal lotion. The reason why I suggest this is because you never know. You never know if you have to take your shirt off and be vulnerable and then you have all of these like scratch marks on you, or you have bad eczema patches. I know I would get a lot of anxiety whenever I started to undress in front of someone, and all I could think about was like, other people are thinking about like how they look, like do they look like good physically, are they in shape? For me, I'm just thinking like, shit, do I have a lot of scratch marks on my body? Like, is my body super dry and ashy as hell? And they're just like, the fuck? So I always brought a little lotion with me, just run into the bathroom, put it over, my vulnerable, like dry spots, like my stomach, my back, my arms. And I would just, you know, try to look as not dry as possible. Also, you don't know where the person leaves their lotion, in their apartment, and you don't, like, it's awkward to ask if you can borrow their lotion. At least for me. Also, you don't know if their lotion is good for your skin. It can have a lot of irritants. It can make you like more sensitive and itchy or dry. So just bring your own, the one that you use, the one that takes care of you always and forever. So then that way you can be comfortable and have that off of your mind. Another thing, obviously, is to just be yourself. And, just speaking from my own experience and, how I grew up, talking to people about eczema was really difficult for me. It wasn't something that I could do easily because of all the shit that I went through with like growing up and, me being in my own head, honestly. If you have the confidence to talk to someone about having eczema off the bat, like I would say go for it. That's because you're just, being truthful and getting that out of the way. So then no one like has to ask any like weird questions like when they see you like doing certain things. Again, I couldn't do that just because I was so focused on having someone, perceiving me as attractive, and I associated my eczema with being unattractive, which is totally wrong. Doesn't correlate at all. So you should never feel that way. Just be yourself. If you have any stories or situations that you want to talk about that you have had with eczema and dating, write them in the comments below. I want to read them. I want to hear more about what other people are dealing with. If you have any questions or want any more advice on certain situations of having eczema, write a comment, ask it. I'm really interested again, just to hear what everyone's going through and, just sharing amongst the community what everyone's experiencing. Thank you so much again for coming by, and have a great time out there. Good luck, and have a happy Valentine's Day.